The gaming industry has a huge problem with developers wanting to be treated like small children. Right here, we have a high guard developer, or I guess we can say ex high guard developer, that has recently reactivated his Twitter account from his recent, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, deletion because of criticism he was taking from a previous post. Let's see what he has to say. Since I reactivated my account, I'll address the elephant in the room. My now deleted tweet following the High Guard layoff news a month ago was a mistake. I was stressed, devastated, angry, and running on 2 hours of sleep. It was not wise to take my pain to the internet in that volatile state. I stand by the intent behind much of what I said, but I phrased it poorly. Now, see what he said right here. In his previous post, which I unfortunately cannot find, I've been looking for it. I cannot find it. If anybody does know where I can find it, go ahead and link it in the comments. I would really appreciate that. But he's standing by what he said. He says he phrased it poorly. So whatever he meant in his previous post is still what he stands by today. Anyways, he continues, and some of my anger was misdirected. I believe the online discourse around Highguard had some very dark corners that may have accelerated the timeline of our failure beyond the natural outcome of reasonable critique. But it wasn't the primary cause, and I don't personally believe the ultimate outcome would have been thoroughly different without it. Okay, I wish you would give some examples or a example of whatever dark corners he's talking about. Is he talking about like the basic criticism people are giving of, hey, I think the game is bad here, frame rate is not good, the gameplay loop, it takes too long to get into the action, blah blah blah. He's talking about that stuff, or is he talking about the people saying dead on arrival, blah blah blah? Like, what does he mean by that? Wish he would elaborate. And like he said, he also believes, even if he believes it accelerates the ending of the game, the end of service, he thought it would happen anyways. So I'm trying to think, what is your point? What are you trying to convey? The game you worked on was going to die anyways, and the tweet you made before was phrased poorly, and you believe some dark corners of the internet accelerated the death of your game. Anyways, let's see what else he has to say. There were a lot of elements involved, and there's no way to know how it would have gone under different circumstances. So here would be the other timeline. The other timeline of Highguard, here's my correct, just amazing gaming knowledge. If Jeff Keighley never did the Game Awards showcase for it and they shadow dropped it like it originally was supposed to be, I genuinely think nobody would have known what this game was. It would have just been a game that got released. Nobody paid attention to it. No, maybe a couple people played it, and then it dies 2 days later. That's what I think would have happened. Straight up. I think Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards did them a huge, huge, huge favor. You got the last slot in the entire showcase for free. Some of the best free advertisement you can get. So many eyes were on the game. Unfortunately, they put together a trailer that was worse than what the actual game is. They really did. But then when the game came out and all the negative feedback had people talking about it, everybody wanted to try the game out and see what it was actually like. They played it and they're like, yeah, the game's boring. That's all that happened. Anyways, we got one more thing to talk about. So, Pirate Nation here says, Overwatch senior designer says marathon player count watching is unemployment behavior. So here's the post. Is the 50% player drop in the room with us right now? Feel free to dislike and pass up any game you want. More power to you. But this is big unemployment maidenless behavior. Okay. I don't know what it is with game devs very bothered. Mind you, he didn't even work with this game. He's an Overwatch dev or senior designer. Why are they bothered by people reporting on the current state of Marathon? Could you imagine if Marathon had like, let's say 200,000 concurrent players for the last week or so, right? And we were reporting on it. Would he come out and say that was maidenless behavior? Please answer that question. Would the same Overwatch developer say that was maidenless behavior? You know he wouldn't. You know he wouldn't. If we said it was the opposite, if there was a 50% increase in concurrent player count for Marathon, this dude would be championing that, like, yeah, can you guys see that this game is amazing? Holy cow, we're actually doing it. Let's go. But because it's negative and not positive, he has a problem with it. You don't have a problem with people actually reporting on player count. You have a problem with a game that you like getting reported on with a negative look on it when its player count is going down. That's your issue. And that's the problem we have. We have to fix the culture around this entire situation. We should not live in a world where people are acknowledging failures, and then when you acknowledge those failures, the people who created or are friends with people who created those failures say, hey, you shouldn't say that. It hurts our feelings. Like, dude, come on, grow up. You know, maybe that patch that's going to be coming out for Marathon might save the game. That big patch supposed to be adding some type of end game. Who knows, dude? Maybe we should champion that instead of being upset that people are having quote unquote maidenless behavior. Anyways, that's all I got. Peace out.